Hey guys, Dynamics here. I'm back with another video, and today what we're going to be doing, guys, is I'm going to be teaching you how to make a 3D rendered Fortnite model into Blender. And we're going to export those models, and then part 2 we're going to go and show you how to put that into Photoshop and make you a Twitch or Twitter banner and slash header or whatever you guys want to call it. And I'm going to be teaching you guys how to do. I'll show them some of my examples on the screen of what I mean by that, and I'm just going to go like step by step on how I make banners whenever I make a header for someone. But yeah, and in this tutorial we're actually going to be following one of the banners that I made, and we're going to be, it was for Ken Beans, the guy that I made it for, and we're going to go follow the same exact tutorial on how I made a banner like that. And that's pretty much it, guys. So yeah, let's get started. Alrighty, guys. The first thing you want to do is you want to go down to the description and download this file called downloads in the notepad. And what I did here is I just added every single download that you will need in this video tutorial into one little notepad, so you guys don't have to go searching for everything. But we'll be using these packs right here for the models. We'll be using this. I'll be teaching you guys how to go search models in the Discord that I'm going to be showing you. It's a Discord that literally gives you nothing but free models. You go in there and just find every single one that you're wanting. It's a really good place to do it. Just don't break the rules in there, but you'll be chilling. It's a really good server. It's really useful, and I recommend joining this. But first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to this blender.org/downloads. We're going to copy this, and we're going to go over here and paste it inside. Now this is a Windows installer right here, but if you have a Mac you can just click here and download whichever one you have. But whenever you're in Windows, you're just going to click this download button. I already have it, so I'm not going to reinstall it. You just save this to your computer, open up the installer, go step by step. It's really simple, and then we're going to open up Blender right after this. Alrighty, guys, right before we open up Blender, I want to show you guys this Discord and how to use it and how to pretty much get anything you need in any model off this Discord. This Discord is very useful. I'm going to go through real quick and show you guys. So the first thing you want to do is whenever you're in this Discord and you join it, it's going to bring you to the welcome page. You're going to want to scroll all the way down till you see resources. In this resources, you're going to go down to you see model downloads, and you're going to click model downloads, and as you see, there's going to be a ton of models that you can download, and you can actually search inside this Discord channel and see like whichever model you want. For an example, if I hit inside this Discord, if I hit Control F at the top right here, it's going to show me in semicolon hashtag models downloads, and what you're going to do is you're literally just going to type in any model that you're wanting. So what we're going to type in is, for an example, let's think of a model, let's think of like a click skin, let's do spark plug. See if this comes up. Maybe it's a compound. It's probably not. Actually, let me see what they titled this. It's all at the bottom. I know that. What is it called? Oh yeah, it is sparkplug.blend. Let me think here. Let's just think of another one. Let's think. Like let's say you wanted a Mogul Master skin. Okay, here's some of the Mogul Masters. So inside this, there's a download link for China, Canada, Germany, France, USA, and all Fortnite. So what we're gonna do is literally just click this, and then it's gonna bring you to a Google Drive link. Majority of the time, you won't get a Google Drive like this. You'll just get a single page, and it'll tell you to download. But since this is multiple different colors for skins and different styles, there is multiple here. So whichever one you want, you just click and download. So for an example, I'm gonna download this Mogul Master. But we're not going to be using this. I'm just going to show you an example really quickly. And you're going to go save as, and then you save it to wherever you want. Now that I have downloaded that file, what we're going to do is I'm going to go and show you how to import this model into Blender. And then after that, I'm going to show you guys how to pose your models. And then that's pretty much where we're going to be good into. You have to add a camera and all that stuff. So let me get right into this. So what we're going to do is we're going to exit this out. I'm going to go fire up Blender. Now whenever you open up Blender, there's going to be this little user interface right here. All you're going to do is simply just click off. Now definitely Blender looks really scary when you open it up first, but believe me, it is so user friendly. It really is not that hard to get to understand Blender. So first thing what we're going to do is we're going to click and drag, and we're simply just going to go hover over this light source right here, and we're going to delete this cube. So these both will be selected. All we're going to simply do is just hit your delete key, and those two objects will be deleted. This right here is known as your camera. You don't want to delete your camera. If you delete your camera later on, you just have to go and re-add it back. It's very simple. You just come over here to add, go to camera, and it'll make another camera. But there's no reason to delete something that's already there. So we're just going to keep the camera. The next thing you want to do is you want to go find your model. And the best way to find your model is what we're going to do is you're going to want to go to File, Append, and then all you're simply going to want to do is go find your model. So for me, I put my model on my D drive and I put it to Mogul Master. We're going to hit Append in the blend. It's going to pop up with these multiple files here. What you're simply going to want to do is you want to go to the object, double click inside. There's going to be either 2 things here, or depending, there could be multiple if they have cameras already imported. But for me, there's only 2 here. And more than likely for you, there's only going to be 2 as well. So what we're going to do is we're simply going to click, drag, hover over both of these, and we're going to hit Append. Now, some models in the Discord can be improperly sized, but to a certain extent it doesn't matter. But what we're going to do in this case is that this is way too big. All we're going to simply do is click it, make sure you're got all the bone structures selected. We're just going to hit S on our keyboard and just drag down until it gets to a decent size. And then after this, we're going to just come over here, we're going to zoom in. And just like that, we have our model in a decent size. Now, before I go any further, I actually want to show you guys the tools here. So what this is that this little tool right here lets you do the y-axis, it lets you do x-axis, it lets you do z-axis, and this right here is just really much where you can pan around without having to do anything. Now, the shortcut into this one, instead of just clicking and dragging, is your middle mouse tool. You can just click it and just drag on your mouse, and it lets you pan around everywhere. The magnifying glass, obviously, you just click and drag. There's really no other way to do this. This is a really nice zoomed way to go inside to get a really nice, a certain way to look at a character. But yeah, then you can also scroll in your mouse wheel, but it's not as free and precise. Now, the next thing this is the camera tool. The camera is just where you're pretty much going to see what you're going to be rendering. So this camera, whatever side of this camera, you're going to be rendering. So in order to see your camera, you can just click off, you can click on the camera, and I'll show you guys how to position this camera shortly. So once you have your model imported, it's probably not going to show you any textures. The one thing you're going to want to do is you want to come over here to this little button right here. So what you're going to be on by default is viewport shading. In order to load the textures, all you're going to simply do is go to the third one over called viewport shading method, and we're going to click this one, and then it's going to show you your skin. Now, once you see your skin, you like your skin, what you're going to do is you're going to put this into a pose. Now, the way you put this in the pose, the bone structures are very, I wouldn't say they're difficult, but it can be difficult if you make it difficult. The one thing you're going to do is whenever you have your model, you're going to want to click down in this folder and you're going to hit the pose, this little pose icon right here. Once you click it, it's going to go into, it's going to show you a silver, it's going to show you a green. The silver ones are the only ones you're going to be messing with. The silver ones are the main things you're going to be messing with. For this tutorial, I'm not going to be using this model. I'm going to simply just do open a model that I already have, and I made a banner for it, and that's what I'm going to teach you guys in part 2 of this video of how to import it into Photoshop, and I'm going to show you guys how to make the exact same banner that I made in that tutorial, and that banner I'm going to make you in this tutorial in the part 2. So for this tutorial, I'm going to show you in a brief understanding on how to move these around. So what we're simply going to do is we're going to click on the bone structure. So this is the right shoulder and right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the rotate tool right up here on the left side. Make sure you're in your pose mode, because if you're not in pose mode, you won't be able to move these bones. So what you're going to do is you're going to hit rotate. It's going to show you an axis here of the X, Y, and Z. All you're simply going to do is in order to move this around is just click and drag, and you'll be able to move around the actual bone structures. The next thing you can do is come over here and drag this up, maybe put a gun in there in the person's hand. You can then come in here and move around with the hand and move around with the fingers. This is obviously the start of the finger, and then you have the middle of the finger, then you have the front of the finger. So you can move these around, play with them, make sure get the pose that you're actually wanting. It goes the same with the feet, and the legs. You have this little thing right here. You can move this around. You can move the knee around to be going back in a running position or something. You can move the foot around to make sure if you want it to be in a certain position. And that's pretty much it, guys. Obviously you have the spinal area, you have the neck area of the model where you can move the model to make it looking like he's in a more serious pose or something like this, to whichever model that you're wanting, something like this. And then you're pretty much done to this point, to wherever you need to get in the pose. So once you get your model in the pose, pause this video, get your model in the pose, and then come back to this video, and I'm going to show you how to import a camera and do all that other good stuff. So I'll see you guys then. Alrighty guys, so right now what I did is I opened up a model that I had previous that I did a banner for the guy of Ken Beans. I did a banner for him. I made that he loves his fin, so he loves his skin. So I made him the skin, I made him the model, and I imported it, and we just moved it around, put a gun there. It was a very simple header. I'm gonna show you guys how I did this. So simply I got him into the model that I want, and it is a pretty funny model, I'm not gonna lie. But I moved the tie around, put the gun inside of his hand, and then I'm gonna take this right here. I simply just added a camera, and I added a light source that can boom and beam down on the skin of the fish, so we get a better light source. I'll show you guys how to do this in just a second. The first thing that I want to do is I want to show you how to add a camera. So what I'm going to do simply is I'm just going to literally delete this camera, and I'm going to start fresh, and I'm actually going to delete this as well. So first things first, I want to show you guys this little button here is really helpful to preview your models. So by default, your bones are always going to show in the structures. If you click this little button right here, it'll let you toggle off and on the grid and the bones. So this is very useful tool right here. This button right here is going to save you a lot of time and hassle to see what your model looks like before you actually do render. So yeah, this is all you really got to do in order to hide this. It's a really good button. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to simply just go add the camera. So what we're going to do is hit add, and we're going to go to camera. And the next thing's next, depending on the size of your model, if it was properly rescaled down, the camera could either be smaller, just right, or way too big. So what we're going to do here in this case, the camera is way too small. We're just going to simply hit S on our keyboard, and we're going to drag it up to be about that big. It's fine. So the next thing you want to do is with the camera, obviously this has to be facing the fish. So what we're simply going to do is I'm going to move this back a little bit on the y-axis, and then we're going to move it on the x-axis just a little bit back, and we're going to move it up just a little bit on the z-axis, just enough to where I can get a decent understanding and I can move it around after I go inside of it. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to simply click the camera, and as you can see, we're not fully inside there yet. So what we want to do is once you go into the camera view, make sure you're clicked onto your camera right here. It'll light up yellow. You're going to want to go down to the camera property. It's just right here. Just click this little button. And then, actually no, I'm sorry, you're going to go to location right here. This is the one you're going to want. So you're going to click this little orange button if you want your camera selected. Click this little orange button. It's going to show you a location of your X, Y, Z. It's going to show the rotation of the X, Y, Z. And it's obviously going to show scale, but let's not mess with the scale. What we're going to only mess with is the locations and the rotations. So with that being said, the rotation of your X is going to move it up and down. The rotation of your Y is going to move it sideways. The rotation of your Z is going to move it left and right. So with this being said, all you have to do is literally click and drag and go left and right until you get the face of the character. And then obviously we're going to go over to the location now, and we're going to simply just move this up on the Z axis to get something like this. This is not the exact same model that I had, so I'm going to have to move it a little bit on the rotations on the Z axis to be right here. Then we're going to simply move it over until I get a really nice image, something that I was looking for in the first place. Let's move this up a little bit, and then perfect. So now we have the fish on the inside, we have everything perfect in line, and now what I want to teach you guys is how to add a light source. So what you're going to do is we're going to click this right here. We're going to go over to add, we're going to go light, and I personally like the sun the best, so we're going to click sun, and we're going to move this up a little bit on the Z axis, push this over, and then you're going to see this little yellow dot. What you're going to simply do is click and drag and move it to the head of the fish, just like that. That's simply all you got to do. Now what we're going to do is we're going to click inside the camera, click off, and you're done. Now, depending on the scale of the size of the model, you might have to increase the brightness and the strength of the light source. So how to do that, you simply just going to go over here and click the light source. You want to go down to the light source properties, and in the strength, you're just going to boost this up until you like what you see. Now, you won't be able to see anything right now in the camera view until you go to your previewed render. But before we go to the preview render, I want to show you guys how you can add an HDRI to make your post and your model look way better. So what we're going to do is it's simply just going to add shadows to your model to make it look realistic. So what we're going to do is you're going to want to go over to your shader editor. You're going to literally click this button. You're going to be in your timeline default. What you're going to do is click this little clock, go all the way down to shader editor. And now in shader editor, your default is going to be set to object. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to simply click this, go to world. And I'm going to go ahead and delete this real quick. So whenever you go into your world tab, this right here is going to be what is default. You're going to have a background, you're going to have a world output. Simply what you're going to want to do is inside this, you're going to hit Shift A, and it's going to bring up an add bar. You're going to hit the search bar inside that, and you're going to type in environment texture. Once you do this, you're going to it's going to have it on here. You're going to simply click it. You're then going to drag this little yellow dot to this yellow dot on the both colors. So just drag this color to this color, and then it's going to link these two. The next thing you want to do is inside the notepad, you want to go download the chapter 2 and the chapter 1. These are going to have default HDRI folders inside there, and you can simply use the ones in there. I have an extra one. I'll leave in the link in the description how to download that. Simply go download that if you want to use it. I have a 16K one, but I'll show you guys the base ones in here. They're really good, useful. Before I got the 16K, I used some of the ones in here. So download this folder, It could take a little bit of a while, but depending on your internet, you'll be fine. So once you have those downloaded, you're simply going to want to go to open. You want to go find those folders. Mine's in my D drive and my models. So I'm simply going to go open up chapter 2. We're going to literally find the folder that's titled HDRIs. Double click inside there. Mine right here is the Delta 2. It's 16K HDRI. But the base one you can use on this folder is the Delta, unless you want to get the 16K. So you can click the Delta. The 16K is going to be it's going to be harder to render, but it'll be, depending on your computer. I have a i7 9700K RTX 2070, so my computer is decent. It's going to be better than your average computer, so I can render this good. But for this tutorial, I'm going to be using mine. You can use this Delta. You can use any inside here, but I'm going to be using 16K. So I'm going to simply click it and hit open image. Now it's going to do nothing so far is because we're not in the previewed render so far. So before we actually do and go into the preview render, I want to teach you guys the settings that you have to have. So inside this, you want to go to your render properties. It's going to be right here. By default, you're going to be set to EVE, I guess that's what it's called. I'm not too positive. It's going to be set by this. What you're simply going to do is click it. You want to go down to cycles. And inside cycles, your default's going to be set to, I think, CPU. And then you're going to want to click your device and change it to GPU compute, because I just personally rather use my GPU than anything. Now, by default, I'm pretty sure the number is going to be set to 128. Now, that is a pretty low render. If you don't have a really good computer, I recommend rendering on like 128. If you have a okay computer, I recommend 600. If you have a 5600 actually. If you have a really good computer, I recommend using 1260. 1260 is a really good render setting, a really good number. It will take a little bit of time to render, but it's the quality is going to come out amazing. So once you have the number set, you're simply going to come down to the little tab that's going to be titled Film, and make sure that transparency is ticked, because if you don't have transparency ticked, the HDRI will not work and you won't be able to render it with the shadows. So make sure transparency is ticked. Now once you have all those settings done, you're simply going to go over here to your render. We're going to preview the render. As you can see in the top left, it's going to say updating images, and after this, it's probably going to say updating lights. And just like that, guys, there is the render. Now I'm going to show you guys how to save this. You're simply going to want to go to render image. It's going to render this image. Now before this render, once this render is done, it'll say up here, it'll say like blank frames out of 500 and something like that. But once this render's done and it's completely done, you're going to go to image, you're going to simply click save as, and you're going to save the image. So I'm going to let this render really quickly, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that. Alrighty guys, the render just finished. Now simply what you're going to want to do is you want to come over to the image tab, you're going to hit save as, and in this you're going to want to hit whatever drive you're going to want to save it as, and you're just going to title it simply whatever you want to title it. I have it titled as fish, so I don't necessarily have to title it, but I'm going to title it anyways. I'm going to name it fish parentheses 1, and we'll do this. I'm going to save that just like that, and I save it to my D drive. So this is going to conclude this video, guys. This is part 1. We just rendered the model. If you guys have any questions, please leave a comment in the description. I will make sure, well, leave a comment in the comment section. I will make sure to get back with you all. I'm going to answer every single question, serious questions. And if you really do have a question, please leave it there, and I will get back to you as soon as possible, guys. Yeah. So that's going to be the end of this video. Part 2 is going to be showing you guys how to make a GFX banner and how to use this model to your advantage and put it into Photoshop and make you a Twitter header. And you could possibly start making Twitter headers just like to the least of your knowledge. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe for this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.